All right, taking a look at review problems for your Chapter 5 test. The very first question asks you to find the inverse of the relation. Well, if you're finding the inverse of the relation, then all you do is you switch your x and your y. So I'm looking for the point -11, -5, -3, +2, and +3, -7. So my answer would be A for the inverse of that relation. Pretty easy answer. Now here, when they want the inverse of the function, this function is really y equals 1/3 x plus 9. So if I want the inverse of that, I'm going to change the x and the y and then solve for y. So I get x equals 1/3 y plus 9. So to solve that, I'd want to subtract 9, and then I'd need to multiply by 3 to get rid of 1/3. So when I multiply by 3 over here, that would be 3x minus 27 equals y. So that basically it should be the inverse function is 3x minus 27. So my answer would be D. Number 3 is y equals the cube root of x minus 1. So when I switch it, it'd be x equals the cube root of y minus 1. Now I've got to solve it for y. So I'm going to add 1. That equal the cube root of y. Cube both sides. Put parentheses around this when I cube it. So I'm looking for the inverse. This cancels and it's y. For the inverse function is x plus 1 cubed, which again is D. X plus 1 cubed is not x cubed plus 1 cubed. Doesn't work like that. We have to actually expand it and do distributive property and things like that. So it's easy just to leave it in the form x plus 1 cubed. All right, that's not going to work. I'm going to pause this for a second so that I can clean this off and move to a different screen. Okay, here we asked to decide whether the function is 1-to-1. If it is 1-to-1, find the formula for the inverse. This is a cubic function, which is 1-to-1. If you want to test it, you can always go to y equals and type it in. It's 6x cubed. Is it minus 4 or plus 4? It is plus 4. So take a look at this graph and you should be able to see that it's 1-to-1. Remember, if it's 1-to-1, it's not only going to pass a vertical line test, it would also pass a horizontal line test. So if you look everywhere, horizontal line would only cross this one. So it is 1-to-1. So then to find the formula for the inverse, we would change the x's to y. So this is y equals 6x cubed plus 4. So it become x equals 6y cubed plus 4. Solve for y. So the first thing I do is subtract 4. Then I'd divide by 6, and then I'd have to, so that'd be x minus 4 over 6 equals y cubed, so I'd have to cube root both sides. So I'm looking for the cube root of x minus 4 over 6, so my answer would be B. Number 5. Same thing, x minus 10 over x plus 9. If I wanted to come over here and check, make sure you put parentheses around your numerator. X minus 10 divided by x plus 9 and graph it. And we do see a rational function, so it does have an inverse. Hopefully we'll see the other part graph here somewhere. I guess it's out of the range. We can't see it really, but it does have an inverse. There's no place the horizontal line test it wouldn't pass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have x equals, x equals y minus 10 over y plus 9. So I've got to solve this for y. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply both sides by y plus 9. Wait just a second. Multiply both sides by y plus 9. It cancels over here, so I get xy plus 9x equals y minus 10. Just a second. Alright, so now what I want to do is I want to get all of my y's on one side. Alright, so I need to get all of my y's on one side, so it would be xy minus y equals negative 9x minus 10. Both of these have y, so I'm going to factor out a y, so y times x minus 1, that'd be what I get if I took a y out of both of these terms, equals negative 9x minus 10, and divide by x minus 1. So my answer would be negative 9x minus 10 over x minus 1, which would be A. Number 6 is a square root function. It does have a inverse, but the only we just have to make sure that our x values have to be greater than or equal to 7, because that would only work that way. So what we would have to do here is we would want to it'd be x equals the square root of y minus 7, square both sides, so I get x squared equals y minus 7, add 7, x squared plus 7 equals y, but I think it should be that my x values have to be greater than or equal to 7, not greater than or equal to 0. I need to go back and check that. All right, number 7, how could this graph be obtained from the graph of a basic exponential function? You probably need to go back and review your rules, but whenever it's out here, it's going to be movement up or down. So I'd want to take the graph of 2 to the x and move it up 4, which is actually both of these answers. So B or D is correct here. I'm not sure why these are the same and these are the same. It was an error in the key. Number 8, what I would look for here is a basic function goes through the point 0, 1 and 1, 3. But I need to move down 1 and to the right 1. So to the right 1 and down 1, to the right 1 and down 1. So I'm looking for something that goes through here. Looks like B, right 1 and down 1 is my answer, B. Right 1 and down 1. Up here in the exponent is left and right change, and it's always the opposite. If it's minus 1, you're going right 1. And out here is down 1, so that's how we get our answer for number 8. Number 9, we're going to use the formula A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT power. N is the number of times it's compounded per year, and T is your time in years. So in number 9, we have an initial investment of $1,000. So we're going to do this for 4 years at an account that earns 4%. Remember that 4% is 0.04 compounded annually, so that'd be 1 time a year. If it was quarterly, that'd be 4 times a year. Monthly is 12. So 4 years. I would go ahead and do this part, 1,000 times 1.04 to the 4th. So I'm going to do this in my calculator. Go to a regular screen. 1,000 times 1.04 to the 4th. $1,169.86. Looks like that would be my answer, and that's A. Number 10, same type of problem. 1,700 is invested at 9%, compounded semi-annually, which would be twice a year, after T years. So that's going to be 2T up here. So what I want to do is figure out what is 1 plus 0.09 divided by 2. So just take your calculator. 1 plus 0.09 divided by 2 is 1.045. So 1,700 times 1.045 to the 2t power. So my answer is B. So that's 1 through 10 for your review. I'll pick back up on number 11.